we've got kind of a simulated view. What this is basically, what am I simulating? A Pixel phone. So this is what you would see if you logged in with your mobile device here. You can kind of see it's got a thumbprint for us to kind of check. This is hard to see. I might be able to zoom in. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I'll log in here. So this is all the same information that we were looking at before, just in a more mobile-friendly, more touch-friendly interface, right? We're going to kind of abbreviate stuff a little bit more, not show you necessarily all the fields and everything right away. But basically, you've got access to all the same information. So if I wanted to look at, some of the change of states that we've got, I've got same icons here triggering. If they're blinking, that means there's something unacknowledged. And so I can look at, my critical window here. So here's that device failure that we looked at earlier, right? So anybody that's looking at this on the phone can see this view. Now, phones nowadays have pretty high resolution screens. So like anything, if you went to settings and did show desktop screen, you see that as well on your phone. It's just not as user friendly when you got a smaller screen. So that's why we built this one, so that just a little bit easier to go through. Kind of select something if you want to acknowledge it. You can do that through your phone. So you can see that alarm's now gone because that was the only one in this window. And so I can go back, and I've actually got one alarm that's silent, so don't worry about that one. Go back to my standing alarms. And let's see what I've got for major. Yeah, and then I got my generator alarm and so on. So this is this has the ability to acknowledge alarms. You can silence an alarm from here as long as the user has permission. So basically, a little bit more of a user-friendly mobile view is what this is. So they're not going to be able to do things like turn up a new Net Guardian necessarily through this interface because that's more of a configuration screen.
Right.
And it's going to have a lot more configuration options and stuff like that. But, it should be able to, if they can access the Timon from their phone, boom, they'd be able to bring it up right here.
Rich, I was giving this some thought as far as the geo thing. I know a lot of websites will say, especially like travel sites, they'll give you that little browser pop up. This place would like to know your location. Does that mean that we could grab location? Because this is just a website like any other, right?
Right, yeah. And
so we could use that to update where the person is. Now, maybe we need to trend more of an appward direction just because you'd want it to run all the time to update their location, not just... And Joe, are these people mobile? Are you talking about live responsiveness to where they are, or is it just a question of this guy's always in this region?
Well, it's twofold because, for example, if the guy's out in the field, I'm going to want to know where he's at, first of all. Mm-hmm. And I'm not GPSing him because I want to make sure he's at work. I want to know where he's at in the case that if I have another alarm down the road, I know where this guy's at, or John's at, or Jerry's at, whoever it is. I know where they're at so that I can either get them on the phone, send them a message, and say, hey, can you run out to this site? Or the other reason is we want to know where they're at is because if you have things that are downstream, for example, you have two sites that are downstream and you just replaced all the batteries at one site. So you know that if anything happened, power went down or anything at one site, that site would be good. But you have another issue that might arise. You would want to be able to determine, hey, I think this site with the new batteries is good. I need you to go to this other site first because we have time at the other site. So I want to be able to kind of manipulate locations so that I can manipulate where I dispatch, and being able to see them visibly, or at least know that if they have an alarm, the closest guy is going to acknowledge that alarm. And that would come in their training, of course, if we initiate this program. But the biggest issue, like I said, is being able to dispatch guys that are closer to an alarm than a guy that's 4 hours away. That's where this mobile thing is really going to come into play, if it's even possible.
So part of it is is knowing where your guys are relative to your different sites, right? Having kind of a real-time view of that. So it sounds like.
Yep. In a nutshell, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Rich, I'm sensing probably live updates of some kind. Even if there was a companion app that wasn't the full web interface but was just the locator piece, that feels right. And then I'm thinking, and tell me if I'm totally wrong here, but top left corner, bottom right corner, lat lon on a GFX layer.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely doable. That way you can kind of capture the region. Let's see, I have an example of a larger region that would capture something like that. So here's a good example of kind of capturing an entire state with a little bit. This has a lot more sites than the first example I showed you, and so I think what you're looking at is if you get an alarm. This is spoofing a lot more alarms, but if you got an alarm over in this region, you're looking for, hey, who is closest to that particular site, right?
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we've got a couple projects where we actually feed a lot of GPS data into the system just for processing. We use it more for derived alarm logic, but what yours would basically entail is we would add that icon onto the GFX map, which these icons are all dynamic as it is. We would just add an icon whose location is dependent on whatever the latest GFX lat longitude is for that icon.